When I look at technology and I see kindergarten students, 2-year-olds, 15-year-olds with their phone or their Apple Watch or whatever technology device that you can pick, I think about when kids learn to drive. Parents don't just hand the keys over to the car when the child's 16 and say, good luck, go ahead. But I do see that parents, they put technology in the hands of kids without having a full understanding of the capability, because as much good as the technology can do and does do, there's equal part bad to that.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
My name is Andy Sanko. I'm the superintendent of the Council Rock School District, located in suburban Philadelphia. Our district covers 72 square miles. We are comprised of 10,500 students, including 10 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools, and an alternative school.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers, whether you're on YouTube or just listening to us on audio. I'm Josh Ochs, the founder of smartsocial.com, and we reach a couple million people a year, keeping kids safe on social media so they can be successful in the real life. Our dream here on this podcast is that someday your kids get that dream job, internship, career, and everything else. And by the age of 25, they are ready to use these digital tools in a responsible way when you're not around. And that's our dream today. I have an expert here today, the superintendent, who's going to guide us through a chat that we're going to have about not only keeping your kids safe, but how can you get involved in the district to learn more. Now, whether you're a parent or a superintendent or anyone in between, we're going to have a lot of parent-friendly tips, a lot of superintendent-friendly tips, and ways that we can all partner and come together. Okay, Superintendent, my first question for you, I've had about 200 to 210 of these interviews with your peers nationwide in 40 states. Shout out to all these great superintendents that serve their community. And we've heard a consistent trend nationwide, at least on this social media safety topic. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful technology, AI, and social media, but sometimes they're lacking the maturity and guidance to use it safely. And the result sometimes is more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. Now, Superintendent, you might have little angels running around of perfect children, but nationwide, this seems to be a struggle. And in addition, parents are trying to raise wonderful kids in a world that they didn't grow up in, a world where sometimes technology can move faster than safety policies. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and safety lessons can often come after a crisis because we don't know what to prepare for next. Superintendent, I love your advice. Are there any other trends on this topic that you have seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
Well, we do have 10,500 Angel students running around just like every other district does. However, we face, and our kids and our community face, the same challenges that other school districts and our nation faces when it comes to social media, whether it's online platforms or the explosion of AI. Some of the things that we try to focus on here, Josh, in Council Rock, and we work hard at it, is we try to be proactive rather than reactive. Oftentimes we find ourselves in a reactionary mode because in today's world, there is 24/7, 365-day access to social media. And everything you said and identified in your question is exactly what we are left to deal with in the school. Things happen outside of school and they spill into the school setting. And oftentimes there are things that cross the line between the school jurisdiction and law enforcement jurisdiction. And one of the challenges we have, and I think you'll find it consistent across every district, is educating the community at large, not just the students, but the parents, and having parents understand to know what school districts can and cannot do and how they can help. We've taken measures, not always successful, and we try. We've taken measures to be proactive, where we have partnered with the district attorney's office, and we have had the district attorney's detectives into each of our schools for an age-appropriate presentation. We have worked with the FBI and the DEA to do similar things. We have held parent forums. The number one priority that was identified by our community when they were searching for a new superintendent was safety and security, and this falls right into the safety and security framework. So we are facing the same things. Again, we try to be proactive, but but oftentimes we have to be reactive because things come to us. And when I look at technology and I see kindergarten students, 2-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 15-year-olds with their phone or their Apple Watch or whatever technology device that you can pick, I think about when kids learn to drive. Parents don't just hand the keys over to the car when the child's 16 and say, good luck, go ahead. But I do see that parents, and there's a need for it, they put technology in the hands of kids without having a full understanding of the capability, because as much good as the technology can do and does do, there's equal part bad to that. And oftentimes we as parents, myself included, we hand over the technology to the kids like the keys to the car and say, have at it.
You're so right. I think that's a great analogy. We've heard that nationwide. Parents love and love it when people relate it to a digital driver's ed. Let's use training wheels and then get them in a golf cart. And then they can, once they've parallel parked the golf cart, which can't hurt anybody, then they can get into the Honda Accord and drive slowly and safely with guidance with mom and dad next to them. And then once they've earned that respect, then they can drive the Honda Accord safely, reliably from point A to point B, and then they can be trusted more. I love that. For all the parents listening right now too, I want to ask you right now as well, what the superintendent just said is so genius, because a lot of parents will say, and I used to be one of the top social media safety speakers nationwide, and we'd go into communities and I would teach a parent night event, and a lot of moms would tell me, and moms are our demos, we love you moms, we support you, dads are great as well. But a lot of moms would tell me, Josh, I want my kids to have privacy. So I don't want to barge in there. And I would remind them, and superintendent, I want your advice on this. Am I doing this wrong? But I would tell them, hey, if you gave your kids a car at the age of 16, taught them how to drive it safely, do you have the right to an extra set of keys to that car? Well, absolutely. Exactly. Because you want to know, first of all, you need to take it away if they're driving, because it could kill somebody else, kill another family, or hurt your child. And you own it. Your kid can't afford that car. And second, do you have the right to check the trunk to see if one of their friends put something illegal in there? Absolutely. Great. Same is true for your kid's passcode on their phone to make sure they're not chatting with inappropriate people or doing something bad online. Superintendent, do you agree, disagree? Set me straight.
No, I totally agree with that. Part of the challenge for the adults is that people my age and around my age, and we're not digital natives. The kids are growing up right now in a digital world. They're digital natives, and every set of car keys that we have as it relates to technology, the kids are able to hide so that we can't find them. They can beat us out by way of passwords. They can beat us out by way of code names. They could beat us out by fictitious accounts through anonymous names. So it does take vigilance. You know, I think back on earlier, Josh, you said something about cyberbullying. When this generation of parents and my generation took place, kids would get on the bus and go to school. And somebody would say to me, Andy, you're fat and bald and you have 4 eyes because you're wearing glasses. And that would end at the end of the bus ride. I would get home and I wouldn't have to face that other student until the next day. Well, right now, kids have 24/7, 365-day access, so they can continue on any social media platform saying that I'm fat and bald and have 4 eyes, and the victims have no break from it. And likewise, the people doing the picking on or the bullying or being inappropriate, there's just no off switch, which is a concern because there's no off switch, which means kids can be doing this 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. I think back to when my own children were young and how technology has evolved. We have 3 children and we had one computer set up in the living room with one password and we were able to track everything. Well, with the way technology has evolved, we have Chromebooks in the hands of kindergarten students, just as a school organization. And so at age 5 and 6 years old, 7 years old, that just changes the landscape. Then you enter the age when parents decide to give their children cell phones. And no matter what rules and regulations or guidelines that we put into place as a school district, kids have that cell phone before school, after school, holidays, weekends. And so I think that our students never have an opportunity to turn off the technology. Try as we might as the adults, that's where they're getting the information. That's where they're getting the instant gratification. And when you look into platforms like Google and ChatGPT and TikTok, the algorithms are set up so that our kids continue to look at it and so that they stay online and so that they continue to go in and explore all that stuff with regard to social media.
Yeah, so true. I couldn't agree more. Now, for all of our audience listening here today, we have a few million parents who are in our program, and a lot of them ask us questions. One of the questions we get is, hey, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger online? And what the superintendent just said is so right. There's so many threats on the inside of your home and outside. Dangerous strangers are an outside threat. Screen time addiction is sometimes an inside threat. Like you're giving that to them. No shame here. Let's hear from a real student about how she might help a friend recognize red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start. If they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Now, parents, remember, we have weekly live virtual parent events and replays. So you don't even have to go to your school anymore. You can just go online, and we do huge giveaways. So we have Kindles we give away each week, Bluetooth speakers, 3D printers. All you got to do is come to one of these events to learn how to keep your kids safe. And you can bring your kids, as you can see in the middle of the screen right there. We have teen-led video lessons. You just saw it. So teens learning from teens, they roll their eyes a lot less, we found, when real teens teach the program. And a premium parent newsletter. Parents, when you attend these events, not only are you entering for a chance to win a great events, great things each week, but also you're keeping your kids safe. And we're having those difficult dialogues with your kids to guide them. Here's what goes right in communities just like yours, parents. This is one of our school districts that sent a lot of parents to an event.
Many kids as young as 10 years old will be unwrapping a cell phone for Christmas, but one school district is offering parents a gift this year, a tool to help them protect their kids using their cell phones.
It's really about safety. It's about safety of our learners.
Right now, College Community says about 400 parents are using the platform smartsocial.com. That's covered by the district's general funding. The hope is to partner with parents so they're able to keep their kids safe.
There's this tool that they didn't grow up with, or they grew up with, maybe one or two apps on that tool, and now their students are living in this world. We just believe that, protecting students is not just confined to the 7-hour school day. Their safety is important to us beyond that.
Smart Social's founder, Josh Ochs, says he's been speaking about safety tips at schools across dozens of states, now reaching even more families by hosting live online Q&As and providing parents pointers. The goal, preventing potentially dangerous situations, like chatting with strangers and cyberbullying.
You won't be there for them forever. We want to make sure they're resilient and awesome using these new tools, and that they come to you when they need you, and that they make wise decisions when you're not around.
College Community says parents have been giving positive feedback about the program as it continues to track students' online safety habits.
The more parents know about how students are using technology, how they can use it appropriately, how they can maybe use it inappropriately, or what apps are doing. The apps continue to change. The interfaces continue to change. Some of the potential safety risks for students continue to change.
Okay, so parents, remember at smartsocial.com, if your school district is a partner, we have the latest app guides. So you can dive in after the kids are asleep or during the school day. TikTok, you can learn all about Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, 450 more. You can take our little tiny quiz that guides you through how to have a rich dialogue with your kids. And there's an endless amount of live events taught by yours truly and my incredible staff based here in the United States. AI Family Workshop. This is incredible. How to improve learning and reduce cheating, reducing arguments. We've got other AI Family Workshops, all kinds of different things for the summer. And when we go back to school, AI for student success. Also, in addition, we'll show this at the end of the program, we have the biggest anti-bullying campaign probably happening nationwide. We want your kids to behave really positively online and have a great time there. Okay, so I'm back with the superintendent. Superintendent, in addition to these 200 plus conversations we've had with your peers across dozens of states, we've heard from communities. Many parents, they say, feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with fast moving online trends and digital safety risks in some cases. And also, students are finding ways to increase their screen time, bend the rules, especially when the expectations at school might differ significantly from those at home during the school year. Superintendent, I want your advice. What trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families might be struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
So I think part of the answer to this question and part of the answer, this would kind of overlap both questions, is that I think the best advice we could give to parents is listen to their intuition. Parents know their students the best. They know their kids the best. And oftentimes, as I said earlier, things fall into school without intent. And we learn along the way that all kids are good. All kids can learn. But oftentimes, students could be talked into or out of doing some things, including inappropriate social media posts. And I think for parents to understand that. I certainly understand and can empathize with the overwhelmed feeling because we as a school district take that on for 10,500 kids every day. Sometimes students trip and fall into an area of a poor decision because they listen to some of their peers, and sometimes they initiate it. So the best thing for parents to do is to listen to their intuition and take advantage of the things that the community provides, because the school district, we provide training for parents, we provide training for students and teachers, but we have worked, as I said earlier, with the DA's office, we've worked with DEA, the FBI, the Secret Service, and we bring people in, and they also have community awareness programs. The hardest part in today's world for the parent is, in the vast majority of cases, both parents are working. They're chasing after 2, 3, 4 of their kids at home, trying to put a meal on the table, getting everybody to sports and Hebrew school. And when are they going to find the time to go through all these apps on their student's phone? And so what I would encourage there is dedicate some time for just family time, family meeting, find out what's going on. The best teachers of this AI and this social media will be the kids because they live it and they're growing up with it every day.
Yeah, excellent tip, Superintendent. Give us a little bit more practical and tactical as well. Like, what are some of the events that you've seen to be the most successful? Are they combined events like we're seeing nationwide, where when you're celebrating the kids, all of a sudden parents are like, I'm going to come out to tonight's piano recital or whatever the event is because my kid's winning an award. And then you do a little bait and switch where you teach a little safety or talk about announcements before, and then parents get what they need and then they came for what they want. Like, what are your tips on that little formula there?
So we do it in a multitude of ways. We have an orientation every year for the parents of students at which particular grade level they're going to be at, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. So we touch on it there because we have a captive audience of parents. We touch on it because there is an expectation by our administration that principals will review certain policies with students 2 times a year. And of course, cyberbullying is in there, as well as in our policy, appropriate use of technology. Policy 815 is something we go over with our students. And then we also do the community outreach on a regular basis. We have a weekly letter that goes out to our community, and it spans beyond just the parents. Anybody that signs up for it, it's called the Rock Report. So we give updated information, but we also weave in things like we're talking about here with regard to safety tips, talking with your kids. The parents get a monthly newsletter from me that goes out with resources attached to it. And then we do mass notifications on a regular basis. And again, to the degree that it has to be sent out, we send them out, whether it's a snow closing or we see something that needs attention. And all the while, behind the scenes, not public facing, we're working with our administrators, our support staff, our teachers to find out what it is that our folks have to be armed with to best inform and help educate our students, our parents, and our community at large.
Yeah, well said. The mass communication or mass notifications is probably text message. Is that correct?
We do. So we have social media platforms. We communicate through Facebook and Instagram on a regular basis, and we have dedicated that to good news, right? Unless, again, there's something emergent like a snow closing. But we also do the monthly letters. We do the weekly letters that go out to the community at large. And then we have the ability to communicate in a large way through our BBCom email. So we would be communicating to parents. We also have the ability to do it by way of text message, and we still do the old-fashioned phone call.
Yeah, that's great. That's terrific. I love what you're doing over there. The superintendent, I want to thank you for coming out. You got a busy day. You got a lot of staff, a lot of kiddos you're protecting, and you came out to share some tips with us. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Josh. It's been a real pleasure, and we look forward to getting your organization more involved with Council Rock so that we can learn as a community from you and the work you're doing with all the superintendents across the country. We appreciate that work a lot.
Thank you so much. And to all of our audience here today, again, there's no shame. If you've given your kid a phone at a young age, we love you. We're here beside you to guide you along the way on that digital driver's ed to get your kid kind of riding a bicycle first and then a golf cart, parallel parking at a slow pace. And then they're driving in the Honda Accord next to you. And then someday they're more resilient and trustworthy. And we love that analogy. Parents, one more thing. As you're posting, remember to try and keep it light, bright, and polite because kids are modeling how we behave online. I'm Josh Ochs, the founder of smartsocial.com. Excited to see you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.